Sweaty Opinions, episode 22. Back to normal recording standards. No Skype. I'm Joey.
I'm Jordan. I'm glad you remembered the episode number because I was like, oh, what are we on? 20-something?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You're on top of it, dude.
We were going to do the 21, but then, we kind of just, after the whole hiccup with Skype there and the power going out from the storms, it was kind of like, instead of doing, the little added bonus on the YouTube and all that, we ended up just throwing it all together into a joint episode, and I've heard good things. People like it, so... So
well,
that was
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was enjoyable. We
had
fun.
Better like it.
Yeah, God damn it.
Indeed, no,
yeah.
It was last week was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
More so for you than me.
Yeah,
just sitting and then just like by my computer watching the feed while you're out there living and eating and sleeping and breathing all that nerd sweat.
It was good. I would love to figure out a way to go back, but I think it's
we'll figure out a way.
It's a long road ahead, but I think we can make it happen. So yeah, we got a year. We got a year to make some magic happen, but we'll do it for sure. How is your post E3 week been? I know we've been playing some games here. What have you been up to?
This week has just been Last of Us. I mean, that was kind of what made last week even sweeter.
Yeah.
Besides having all the E3, just knowing that Last of Us was going to be showing up Friday, and I don't know if we want to talk about it here now.
Nope.
Like, I didn't want to. We were talking about it later. We were talking about it earlier, but dude, I just want to talk about the meta-ness of it. It's such. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like it's such a good game that delivers on like every promise, like every conception, like vision that you had in your mind of what it was going to be. It delivers. Like it was ridiculous how good it was. And like the ending, I can't talk about the ending at all. I can't even talk about it vaguely.
Yeah.
I'd have to get specific, but like I just beat it like a few hours ago as of this recording on Monday night. And actually, by the way, unofficial, on normal, the unofficial word for somebody of my skill level, on normal, it's about 15 and a half hours of campaign. So it really hit the sweet spot. It did not overstay its welcome, and it didn't feel premature. But dude, like you and all of our listeners who have a PS3, there's no hyperbole here. There's no fanboy. It's like you gotta play this game if you're a fan of like mature narrative.
Yeah.
And I don't mean porno, like and just video gaming in general. Like you gotta play this game. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm so ready to play it at this point. Basically, the only reason why I had not purchased it yet was because right before E3, I knew that it was going to be coming out, and I'm like, well, we're going to get to see it, and I purposely did not touch it at E3 because I'm like, I'm going to get this game. I know how good it is.
Yeah, you're going to have it. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, it felt good just watching it from the sidelines.
It's
chaos ensued, but people still wanted it. People still wanted to touch it. They didn't care that it was coming out Friday. They were like, let's play it right now. But the reason
and rightfully so.
Right, absolutely. The reason why I had not played it was because by now most of you who have have 360s know that the second quickest selling Xbox Live Arcade title of all time, only second to the Juggernaut
title.
Yeah, only second to the Juggernaut that is Minecraft came out. The game is called State of Decay. I highly recommend this for anybody who likes if you wanted the easiest way to describe this is that if you wanted a game that felt like the Walking Dead comic book, this is the game for you. Now, I know that the Telltale Walking Dead game does a good job of that, but it's also not exactly the same as this is Grand Theft Auto with a zombie RPG element to it. But I picked it up right before I left for E3, and I started playing it, and it is so goddamn good. I cannot stress enough how good this game is, and I honestly think it's sold very well because there's a void for the 360 players that do not have access to something like Last of Us. So for those of you that do not have a PS3 or you're looking for a title that is on the cheap, $20, I am probably about 15 hours in. The RPG elements are good. It's some a little bit repetitiveness, but it's one of those games that it's a fun repetitiveness. Like you kind of want to keep doing, going after things. My only gripe with it is that they, no co-op. We talked about that, but it seems that they have intentions of doing a co-op and doing an MMO. So that's also cool. But aside from that, the biggest problem with it is that there's really no instructions on how to do the cool RPG shit. Like I'm still learning things, and I'm almost done with it. About how to build your base up, and I feel like if I would have learned that from the onset, I would have done a lot more. But we won't talk about it all night. But it's a really good game. But now that I will be done with that, probably tonight or tomorrow, I'm gonna pick up Last of Us and just play it straight through this weekend, and hopefully we can have a big Last of Us discussion on next week's
good
podcast
job.
for sure.
Yes. Well, yeah. So. Well, like you raised a really good point there for 360 guys, where we're in a dead season right now.
Yeah.
Pun intended. But I mean, like summer is kind of notoriously known for just being like dead.
Right.
Not like it has like one or two big releases, and then you normally have the summer of arcade or whatever. And yeah, that's the thing. Like, Last of Us is the big game right now, but like that's the thing. Like, State of Decay, it really came out of nowhere, dude. Like, I had never heard of it up until I was on IGN, and like I think Ryan McCaffrey on there, they had a video of him playing it in front of some other guy at IGN, just kind of talking about it. He's like, "This is actually really cool," and I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And yeah, like I checked out the demo, and I definitely came away with like, I will play this at some point. Like, if it would have been co-op, like out of the gate, I would have bought a copy to play with you right away. But like, but since it's like as of right now, it's still single player. Like it is like I'm gonna play it. It's just I'll wait once I've worked through my backlog a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, like you have a really good point there. If you just have a 360 and you're in the desert, famished for some sustenance, sweet big like sweaty bottle of water, that State of Decay will quench your thirst, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's really good. The funny thing is I keep making the joke, and it's not really a fair joke, but I keep saying like, this game isn't even that good, and I can't stop playing it. That's not really a fair statement. When I say that, I mean like it's not the prettiest looking game, but it's subtle, and it's it does a good job of feeling like I love the environments. I love that it's very much that it takes place in like a fall kind of time, like in a camping area. It has a good environment. Yeah, it has a good environment. The only thing I didn't get from a lot of people that were playing it were saying that they were terrified of the game. I really don't find it scary at all. I don't. I mean, there's games that I've played that are very scary. This is not one of them. I will say you get tense because if a main character dies, that is it. You lose him and you go on to the next person. So it's cool. You can play as any one of the characters. There's really no way around that. So it's awesome. It's a great game. I'm curious to see what you think once you play it a little more too. But definitely awesome. So. But yeah, so I guess for today's show, we got a couple things we're gonna talk about. Kind of a good timing situation on our part with choosing to choosing to do the podcast today. For those of you that have kept up with the news, we will get to that shortly. I guess what should we talk about first? Should we talk about the kind of like the PC woes a little bit before we get into the big topic, or?
If by PC woes you mean all the spoilers of Last of Us, and Joel is the 12th Cylon.
Oh boy!
Oh boy! No! I want to talk about that game so bad.
I know.
Yes, yeah. Let's get into how PC gamers have two more, at least, reasons to be depressed.
Yeah. So. Basically, E3, we're kind of at the aftermath of E3, and an interesting thing is kind of happening here with the industry. There are a lot of... It's very much like chess. There's a lot of moves that are being made. There's a lot of things that are being adjusted, and there's a lot of, it's kind of basically like the moment where all the right calls have to be made, because really now it's like the summer's upon us, and it's really just kind of gearing up towards the holiday release. You need to have things that are ready. You, Jordan, as a PC gamer, there's always the discussion where PC titles are where it's at because of this whole console thing. And it's just so funny how this stuff really becomes like a flip of the coin at this point. I mean, a couple months ago we were sitting here like, what, fuck this, that the PS4. I mean, I remember the point when we saw the PS4 conference, like, yeah, this looks cool, but I'm not into the social media thing. And then Xbox comes out and it's like, well, that doesn't look so bad. And then it's like, well, PC sitting over here like, well, you can just build a PC machine and say fuck it to both because the games are going to be on there. And now, I mean, we've flipped everything here. I think that you know a lot of this stuff. I mean, even at E3, I told you we had played a couple games that I can't wait for, like you know, Arma 3, DayZ, and Payday 2 in particular were the titles that we had to play on PC. You know, and kind of showing off the power of PC. And there was a lot of titles that had run on PC. What do you call it? What is it? The Dying Light game ran on PC. You know, next gen graphics. But basically, the two big headlines that I think that you know we can discuss here are the fact that the biggest title that everyone is excited for, and probably the show stealer of E3, is Destiny. According to GameSpot today, there was an article that had come up that Bungie's all-new shared world shooter Destiny has been confirmed for 360, Xbox One, PS3, and PS4, but not PC. I think that that's a huge thing. You know, Joseph Staten basically acknowledged that it's painful for gamers, but he wouldn't say more about the possibility of the new shooter coming to PC.
Well, it's good that he feels our pain. At least.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that I don't want to say I'm surprised, but it will come out on PC. I mean, I have no doubt about that. It will happen. I think it will.
Really?
I mean, if you're going to put it out on PS3 and Xbox 360, like, why wouldn't it be available for PC at some point?
With Activision as the publisher, I would say that yes, there is a much, much better chance than there ever was of Bungie games coming out when Microsoft was, you know, their owner / publisher. Because I mean, like, the last Halo game that came out for PC was Halo 2. You know, like, so But yeah, I think now, but still, I mean, like,
before
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, before we go into even further, it's the same thing with Square Enix. They had announced that the Final Fantasy 15 is undecided for PC, and I think that that's a heavy-hitting blow because I feel like Final Fantasy has kind of survived on PC. I think that the online is still around with the MMO because of the PC community and the people that are, you know, that want to have access to that. So two really, really hard to swallow pills when it comes to PC games that are not going to be coming out. You know, what do you think about all this? I mean, like, you're a PC gamer. You play, you know, I would like to be. I have been in the past. I'd like to be again. But I mean, what does this say to you as this PC gamer now that these titles, big titles, aren't coming out?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, that's really nothing new, man. I mean, that's kind of been the one. Like as we talked about in our episode way back in the beginning there, maybe I forget, episode 1, 2, whatever, there's more and more positives.
Right.
And there's a lot more ease to being a PC gamer now, currently, at this moment in time. But there still are some downsides, and that's one of the downsides where, like, you know, publishers and devs are really afraid of piracy. And, you know, and there's, you know, market research, and it's like, well, you can stand to make, you know, X amount of dollars on consoles and X amount on PC. And PC, you know, it usually tends to be the low end. And, you know, but I mean, like, as technology increases, like, really more than ever, these consoles are becoming computers. So, you know, I'm not a programmer. I do not have a computer science degree, so I don't know what differences and similarities there are between platforms. But, you know, you're going to have that. You're going to have games that don't make the cut either because they can't, because they don't have enough money to fund the port, or, you know, some business guy just saw the numbers like, no, we have a chance of going in the red, so we're not going to do it. It is weird that Square Enix did that because, I mean, Watch Dogs got a lot of love on PC. Like, it wasn't just a port. It was like kind of like an up-resed, you know, like mouse and keyboard controls really worked well. And, you know, Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider came out on PC. So, like, one of their big franchises, it's weird. And you were exactly correct in saying that the PC community kept the dying old horse, the dying mare that is Final Fantasy Online alive. Because, but as far as Destiny goes, maybe it's just because I'm not. Like, you know, I'm just used to Bungie never being on PC. It's going to be weird playing a Bungie game on the PS4.
Absolutely.
Like, that's going to be really weird.
No, I agree.
maybe it's just years of just knowing that as scientific law that I'm skeptical, and you're like a little bit more optimistic. But, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't see, like, it's perfect for PC. I mean, like, they're mirroring a lot of PC kind of tendencies. I mean, with their MMO part of their MMO shooter. So, I mean, yeah, I think you'll see it on PC. It might be like the Grand Theft Auto thing with GTA 5, where it's going to happen, but they're just just not yet, or it's coming out like a little bit after.
Well, that's the other one too. We didn't even discuss is that the GTA 5 is kind of another one that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, at least happen right now. So I mean, as far as like that happening with PC like gaming, sort of getting the short end of the stick on titles not really coming to both the consoles, but not making it to PC. That's kind of how it's been. I would hope that it would get better as time moves on. We'll see. Like, I think it's just we're seeing a lot of it now because a bunch of new titles are getting announced for these new consoles. So I don't really think it's gotten better or worse. I think it's about the same. I think we're just getting a misrepresentative cross sample because we're seeing all these new IPs and new sequels for these new platforms that are coming out at the same time. So we're seeing a ton of games got announced at E3. So I don't think it's a big problem. I don't think you're going to be losing out on PC gaming. And that's the thing. Like, for every one that you lose, you get some weird cool title on PC, or you get some game that's like, meant to be played on PC,
or games that won't even ever come out on the console either, which is
very true. Yeah,
exclusive.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, I think that it's an interesting sort of that's what I'm looking for. Like it's interesting that, well, it's not interesting. I guess it speaks a lot for how much PC gaming has stayed alive over the course of the years. When you have the games that, like, the days that they're supposed to come out, they're not even being released on you know what I mean? Like, they're not. Yeah. Like, what do you have to look forward to? Like, maybe whereas a console, you have, this is the date this is coming out. This is how much it's going to be. I'm fucking stoked. I can wait in line, or I can order it online. But with PC, it's like, yeah, it might come out at some point. Please continue being a PC gamer. Fingers crossed we don't lose that demographic. Yeah. So that's always kind of been the fine line that, I've kind of looked at with that as well. But I certainly think that, they realized that there would be a mistake for these things to not actually come out. So, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you look at, I think that a company, a service, a company like Valve and a service like Steam, that's kind of rectified a lot of the problems of, like, PC sometime it's coming out. Get ready. Where, like, there's pre-order bonuses for PC now. There's exclusive bonuses. You can pre-install. You get a release date. And it's right there. It's right there in the same window that you can then launch your games from and, meet up with your friends. Because Steam is, like we've talked before, it is, giving you an Xbox Live style, and a lot of people get really pissed off about that. Like, we're comparing it to an Xbox Live service. It's a unifying service, is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, like, you look at something like Titanfall, which that if I'm almost positive that if EA didn't have their throw their hat in the ring of, like, a PC digital distribution service or whatever in the form of Origin, that Titanfall would have been just an Xbox One exclusive. Like, that's the thing. It's coming out for PC. Like, up until the news that we're going to discuss today, my plan was to get Titanfall on PC because, I probably wouldn't have had any other means to play. But, well, most likely just because, whatever. But, So, I mean, like, I think that that's actually helping things that, like, as far as, like, EA goes and some of these bigger publishers, you can almost kind of bank on that every EA game is going to come out for PC as well. Like Battlefield 4, like Battlefield 3, the place to play it was PC. You had larger server, better graphics, larger, like, player count, and just, like, crazy stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty sure all of EA's titles are coming out on PC as well. So that stuff like that, even though a lot of people hate Origin, I think that kind of benefits PC gamers sometimes, where you can get stuff that, like, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to come out on PC. And, that example, of Titanfall, where, like, normally that would be just on Xbox. That would have been an exclusive they would have locked down. But EA's like, well, hey, we paid a lot of money and we got a lot of people working on Origin, so it's coming out on PC too, Microsoft. And Microsoft's like, okay. So that helps a little. Yeah. But, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting thing for sure. I guess that we can just move right along there and talk about the next thing that had happened today. Uh-oh, did I just close my email? Whoa, back that up.
You back monster.
That up.
Noob alert.
Basically, like we were saying about the timing today, about doing the podcast today, we were talking kind of about how all of these how both of the Sony and Microsoft are doing their rounds now. Kind of they were both on Jimmy Fallon, and Conan O'Brien was floating around E3 doing his thing with Major Nelson. So they're definitely trying to get to that demographic as well. I think the biggest news today, and it shouldn't really be a surprise, but we're still going to talk about it, is that Microsoft has basically completely turned around on everything that they had said. Why is this loading like this? Skip this ad. Skip this ad. Basically, they had turned around on all of the DRM policies that they had. The update today, the statement in full regarded the backtracking of their DRM policies, confirming the early reports. Basically, this is the quote from what's his face?
Don Matrick.
Yes, Don Matrick.
Yeah.
Last week at E3, the excitement, creativity, and future of our industry was on display for a global audience. For us, the future comes in the form of Xbox One, a system designed with the best place to play games this year and for many years to come. As is our heritage with Xbox, we designed a system that could take full advantage of advances in technology in order to deliver a breakthrough in gameplay and entertainment, blah, blah, blah. We imagined a new set of benefits such as easier roaming, family sharing, and new ways to try and buy games. We believe in the benefits of a connected digital future. Since unveiling our plans for Xbox One, my team and I have heard directly from many of you, read your comments, and listened to your feedback. I would like to take the opportunity today to thank you for your assistance in helping us to reshape the future of Xbox One. You told us how much you love the flexibility you have today with games delivered on disc. The ability to lend, share, and resell these games at your discretion is of incredible importance to you. Also important to you is the freedom to play offline for any length of time, anywhere in the world. So today, I am announcing the following changes to Xbox One and how you can play, share, lend, and resell your games exactly as you do today on Xbox 360. Here is what that means. An internet connection will not be required to play offline Xbox One games, underlined and bold, that part of the article is. After a one-time system setup with the new Xbox One, you can play any disc-based game without ever connecting online again. There is no 24-hour connection requirement, and you can take your Xbox One anywhere you want and play your games just like on Xbox 360. Trade in, lend, resell, gift, and rent disc-based games just like you do today. There will be no limitations to using and sharing games. It will work just as it does today on Xbox 360. In addition to buying a disc from a retailer, you can also download games from Xbox Live on day of release. If you choose to download your games, you will be able to play them offline just as you do today. Xbox One games will be playable on any Xbox One console. There will be no regional restrictions. These changes will impact some of the scenarios we previously announced for Xbox One. The sharing of these games will work as it does today. You will simply share the disc. Downloaded titles cannot be shared or resold. Common sense, so to speak. Also, similar to today, playing disc-based games will require that the disc be in the tray. We appreciate your passion, support, and willingness to challenge the assumptions of digital licensing and connectivity. While we believe that the majority of people will play games online and access the cloud for both games and entertainment, we will give consumers the choice of both physical and digital content. We have listened and we have heard loud and clear from your feedback that you want the best of both worlds. Thank you again for your candid feedback. Our team remains committed to listening, taking feedback, and delivering a great product for you later this year. So, discussion, thoughts.
Do you need to Marco Rubio there? Do you need like a bottle of water? That was a filibuster and a half.
Hey,
yeah. No. I mean, like that's the thing. Like what I take from that is like it's just it's such a backhanded kind of you won, and this is what you're going to get, because there's some loss of features in that. Like they mentioned the you got to leave the disc in now, just like 360, and like it's just like no, it's like screw you. Like I don't because I guess that's like part of, and I don't mean to single out one thing right away, but that was kind of what jumped out at me, where it just seemed really like this smarmy. All right, fuck you.
Oh well,
guys,
no, absolutely,
fine,
it's the same thing with like he says like. where is it? It's like we understand, we appreciate your passion. We believe that the majority of people will play games online and access the cloud for games and entertainment, but we will give customers the choice.
Yes.
Fuck you. Honestly, like that's not why people are buying a console. You should. That's like kind of like his way of like saying like we're going to give you this because we understand that you want both. No, we want one. So, you know what I mean? Like, yes, okay. The option for it to be there for you to download, yes, that's awesome. The day one like digital release shit, that's awesome too. But you can't force that down people, down their throats when you have a console at your home. Like, I understand that, that is what they're shooting for, and that's what they're trying to do. And at some point, they're going to have to combat, pirated games. I think it's got to be a different way, but you can't ram this idea down someone's throat, and the status quo is clearly what won in this situation. So
well, the thing is, like, what I immediately jumped on was the whole you got to have your disc. Like, if you buy a disc-based game, you got to have your disc in the drive when you play it. As they said, just like we have going on now. So their plan was, there was the whole mandatory install thing that they were talking about. And I'm guessing that doing away with the daily check-in is why they had to go back to, like, I think their plan was the disc was really just a delivery vector. You put the disc in the drive, you installed the game, and then the disc was essentially just like a coaster, like it is when you buy a CD now and you put it into like iTunes, where, you sync it to your iPod. It's just a delivery, it's just a form of delivery.
Yeah, but like, the thing with that is how could you have given, they originally planned for you to not to be able to give that to somebody. So how, I mean, there's security codes and like, CD key. I guess it would probably have a CD key, like a PC game, where like the key would work. I don't know. It's
So
if I had to
that's
guess.
the thing. So basically, there was going to be something in the disc that like something on the disc where it like almost like a serial number, and then once that serial number is detected on another system, it would then remove it from your like console or something.
Yeah.
So they can't do that anymore because they don't have that daily check it. Like, I don't know. Like, there's got to be another way, like, you can do it to have, like, because, I mean, I think that's what Sony still has planned on doing, where, like, you can just, I don't know if they've talked about their disc-based games yet, if their discs are going to be like, well, you install it, and then you're kind of done with it, and then you can, like, choose to do what you want with it, so multiple people could have multiple copies of the game. I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, it's vague again. Like, they need to. I don't know.
Well, the thing is like, we've made no. It's no surprise that we're kind of like, none of us, you nor I shop at GameStop anymore. It is what it is, but the reality of it is that GameStop gives Microsoft and Sony probably the most business that they're going to get for their consoles. And, it's because of, there's a reason why shit comes out and it's exclusive to GameStop. There's a reason why there's GameStop editions. That shit all happens for a reason, and they make enough money doing it. And when you have, these formats where you're not going to have, you're not going to have used games be allowed, and you're not going to be able to actually trade stuff in, you're fucking your number one retail outlet.
You're
and
biting the hand that feeds.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that has I don't think that honestly that had anything to do with why they went back. I think that really the outcry of little things like the polls and the questions that people were being asked on Amazon and Facebook, and the overwhelming outpouring of support for the PS4 over the Xbox is, I think, what hit them hard. And you had said to me earlier when we were texting back and forth that it's not even a week for E3 it happened a week ago since they announced
it's still
it.
going on right now.
And this is the shit that happens from that. Like, that's a huge. I got to give them credit for doing damage control as quick as possible. A lot of people are arguing that the damage is done. But the funny part about that is that clearly isn't, to a degree, like, you can argue that, but it clearly had a huge impact on their sales. Minutes after that article was posting, the Xbox One got boosted on Amazon sales to number one in video games. And for number one in electronics for home audio and theater, multi-room digital music systems, and streaming media players. Number one in electronics for computer add-ons, network products, and digital media devices. And number one in video games for consoles as well. So across the board, their sales had jumped significantly just from that article and how viral it went in the short period of time that it had happened today, because it was at like 2:00 today. And I can tell you that it was considered a rumor. This is how big it was. It was considered a rumor because all of the websites that had this message had fucking crashed. You couldn't load them because so many people were like, this isn't true. This is bullshit. Because there's so much, you know how it is with Reddit and all those websites. There's so much shit that floats around that you're like, I don't know if I'm going to believe this. You know, I was looking at it from like a dump website where it's like they were just dumping the text to tell you, oh, no, this is real. This is absolutely real. So, you know, people were tweeting and retweeting, and the outpour from like Reddit and 4chan and all these other websites and Facebook, you know, all the varieties of these the different news outlets that had it were flooded at the same time, and a lot of the websites crashed. So it had a huge impact, and you know, kudos to them for figuring it out at this point.
Well, I mean, well, that's the thing. And again, like I immediately regret getting sidetracked and talking about the disk install thing, because that's such a minuscule part of the picture. The big story here is that a major corporation within a week, less than a week, changed their basically their business plan, their model for this new product, just changed it like completely. Like they did a 180. Like that's almost unheard of. Sort of like Netflix
Xbox
doing
180.
Well, Netflix doing what was it even called? Where Netflix was going
to do DVD thing. That whole fucking thing was a shitstorm.
Like Funster or Butt Blaster. I don't know.
Can't
Whatever.
Remember. It was something silly,
like Rager or something. Yeah, I can't even remember like the name they were going to call it. And then enough people were like, "What?" And then they're like, "Okay, I guess not, guys."
Yeah.
But so I think the other thing is you're going to get some sales from this.
Yeah.
And that's evident in what happened on Amazon. Like, because I think for a lot of people that was kind of just those things existing was the problem. For me,
never mind the price point or the fucking.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah. For me, it's a deeper issue. Like it's kind of got it's two-headed. There's a two-pronged philosophy in my dislike of the Xbox One. One, first and foremost, is the price. It's $100. You know, if you're a big boy with, a big boy job, $100 really might not be that big of a deal. But, it still is it's $100 you could use towards something else. And it's also $100 for a friggin' thing that I don't like. That most of that $100,
that's going to the camera,
if not all,
it
is the Kinect. Yeah, exactly. So it's something that they're telling me that I want. And it's like, nope, I don't want it. The other part was their philosophy, and that's the thing. Those things existing were problem enough. The philosophy, for me, was more worrying than the things existing, where they were treating me like an idiot criminal, where it's like, well, and telling me what I wanted, and just like, well, this is what you have to deal with. Like, so this announcement, while it is, I mean, kudos to them for kind of conceding defeat. At least short-term defeat in their dumb philosophy and their stupid ideas.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be some credit handed out for that. But the thing is, they only changed it. Like they had the idea in the first place. Like that's the thing. Like I'm sure a lot of people might have like sort of hate fucked Sony. For in spite of Microsoft, to try and like make Microsoft jealous almost.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing. Sony, for me, my plans haven't changed. You and I were talking about this earlier. I'm still going to get a PS4. Now I will get an Xbox One at some point. Seeing like, as long as this stuff stays the way it's going to get, like a lot of people have already said, a lot of people are hyper cynical on the internet, believe it or not. A lot of people said, well, there's no reason they can't, like no one's signing a contract here. There's no reason they can't just roll this stuff out later down the line or something like that. And like, well, we feel that your experience will be more magical if you didn't have to like put the discs in the tray, now that you've had this console
like
for
a backwards
2 years.
Compatibility launch kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So like the thing is, Sony never had these ideas in the first place. Well, I'm sure they came up in meetings, but it never got out the door.
Part. Yeah, I mean, I think that they probably had, there's rumors floating around that they had some sort of similar thing going, but they didn't really release that And they kind of played. I mean, they played their cards right. They waited and saw the fucking public shit going on. I mean, that could be true too. But we're not going to know. We're never going to know. At this point,
the fact is, it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Nope.
And at the very least, they were smart enough to see what happened and then changed it right away. Where Microsoft was like, "Herp derp, well, hang out, guys. Wait till you see our awesome games at E3." And then, so like that's for me. That's the bottom line to this. Sony never had this idea. Microsoft did, and they only changed it once they faced loss of a lot of money. And honestly, I think one of the last kind of straws on the camel's back was friggin' Fallon, where when they had Mark Cerny on demoing Knack, and Fallon brings it up himself where he's like, and it's gonna let you, it's the only system that's gonna let you play used game. He's basically the Sony salesman at that point, and then he kind of encourages the crowd to cheer for that. He's like, it's the only place you're gonna be able to play used games, and you won't have to always have it connected. And he's like, come on. They're like, woo! And I think somebody at Microsoft saw that, and that was the last straw. We're like, yup, we got to do it. Because when something as mainstream as a late night talk show starts taking a side on digital rights, as for video games, if Fallon gets it, then you're screwed.
Well, my thing was that, and it still is that this whole. We're coming in upon now 5 months before this console comes out. We still don't have the official date for the PS4, but for the most part, we know that the Xbox One is coming out at the end of November, right? We got November 30th, I think, is the official date. I don't know how true.
Oh, really?
I think. I mean, I don't know. When I was looking at Amazon today, that's the date that they had. Normally,
that
Amazon,
might be a placeholder date.
Well, I don't know. Amazon's placeholder dates are normally December 30th. Or December 31st at the end of the year, which is what the Sony one still says, and Microsoft says November. Anyway, so regardless, we're coming in about 5-6 months. I would say roughly 5, excuse me, before this comes out. You can't tell me that if you had this plan set in motion and it had a direct effect on how your system runs, that there wouldn't have to be some sort of implementation that would cause a delay for that to come out. My thing is that they had this to go either way. They had to have known that it wasn't going to be completely accepted. People were, oh yeah, that's this is how it's going to be now. We're going to be. There had to be in the back of their mind prepared for some sort of fallout, because now it's just oh, well, yeah, we can do it. No delays. Nope, we're still going to go through with this. So I really think that this was a situation where you have a company that is going to make a change, and they want to push our buttons. They wanted to see what they were going to be able to fucking get away with. And, it obviously backfired, but no talks of it being delayed. No talks of, So what is that going to carry to the holiday season? Are we going to have something where, the systems start overheating again? Or is it going to be something where it's completely streamlined and there's absolutely no problems because nothing was changed, because the hardware to have the disc on there like that was there from the get-go? So it's an interesting thing for sure.
That's kind of my other, why Microsoft still has left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm pretty sure, again, I don't know, and I don't think that anybody outside of Microsoft knows, but I'm pretty sure all this stuff was software based. There's no chip that they have to rip out now. Yep. And so that's even more worrisome, because it's it was something that they were just prepared to, just go back. Okay, I guess not. They were just trying to see what shit they could get away with, what anti-consumer stuff they could get away with to gain as much control as possible over the device that you gave them money for. Mm-hmm. And that's like I said, my problem isn't with the actual things existing. It's with, as much as it is the philosophy behind creating these things. Nothing was really wrong with the console, with the whole console system. Everything's kind of moving more and more towards PC and, social networking and stuff like that, which is fine. It's kind of inevitable. No consumer's well, I wish that, the company who sold me this had more control over this device, besides, tools and idiots, and apologists or whatever. Yeah. But so that's what's kind of worrisome as well. This was all just somebody just went into like their one huge computer, like the computer in BioShock, like Andrew Ryan's computer, like in his office, that huge towering thing, and they pulled up their Windows 95 like menu and just unticked the DRM like little circle, like, all right, well, I guess we had to do that.
It was it's absolutely a software thing. You know, it's a patch for all intents and purposes. It might have just launched day one. Who knows? But again, it's something that I think that they were trying to get away with. So it is what it is. Nipping it in the bud now, I think, is a smart move because you want to lose this battle, but kind of have a contention for the entire, so to speak, war the entire time. You want to be able to carry across here. In the news of things segueing into things that cannot carry across. And all the discussions we've had over the past, couple of weeks and all the things we are excited for, a lot of people are forgetting there's a third console, which is the Wii U. According to CNBC today, I had seen that the Nintendo CEO says, quote unquote, "We are to blame for poor Wii U sales. It hasn't lived up to expectations, and some important video game publishers have severely pulled back their support for the company." An interesting fact kind of that goes along lines with all this is that one of the heaviest hitting publishers, EA, launched 11 new games at E3 and not a single one was for Nintendo's console.
Including Garden Warfare, which would have been a perfect fit for that console.
Yeah.
And Peggle 2, Plants vs. Zombies 2.
So... kind of what's going on with that? I mean, well, I'll tell you that there was Nintendo has really cool displays. They had some of the coolest at E3. I mean, you had a cool like Mario statue, and you had coins spinning in the background, and like a little a pipe where you can jump out of it. They had a Pikmin display. They had a Donkey Kong display. All really awesome shit. They had like a little game that you could play where you all sit down, kind of in like a game show sort of thing, and on the screen they had a cartoon of Luigi or Mario, and the actual voice of the characters was talking to the crowd, interacting. So it's like they want you to get involved. They got people walking around giving out free shit. Cool. The games that they announced, like, yes, Mario Kart looks amazing, runs at 60 frames per second, looks beautiful, but again, your target audience for that, and not even age demographic. I'm talking about the demographic of people who have bodies in their house to play these games. I mean, I don't know the people who are going to competitively play Mario Kart on Wii U online. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but there's really nothing incentivizing to do that. The Sonic game looked cool. The new Luigi Wii U game that's basically Mario Brothers, the new Super Mario Brothers, but it's just Luigi. That looked cool. There's a lot of cool looking titles, but the Zelda we have is a Wind Waker HD remake, and nothing is bringing me to that system, and I think that is punishing them with the decisions that they've chosen to make this round. I think that, these publishers are just backing out and kind of like, that this isn't where the fight is really going to be. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. And actually, I think that you're going to illustrate my point here perfectly with the E3 booths and their impressiveness and everything. Nintendo has a lot of money. Yeah. They've got a huge war chest. And their war chest is basically going to let them continue making really dumb decisions for a very long time, where they can release a console like the Wii U and have it be like, well, here's like, look at the lineup that they launched. Yeah, like you're talking about, they played it very safe, even safer than Nintendo is known for, where it's like, here's another thing in this franchise that's decades and decades old, like Retro, they're working on a new game. I realize the irony in being like, oh yeah, new Metroid, but like they're working on a Donkey Kong game, which is, I'm sure, going to be fine. And I'm sure Mario Kart's going to be fine. But like, that's the thing. The Zelda wasn't even new. It was a very pretty remake of a game that I'm pretty sure everybody hated when it came out. Isn't that funny how things, time makes fools of us all. Yeah. Where like everybody's like, oh my God, Wind Waker. But, and back in the day, everybody's like, fuck this shit. So it's like that's what's going on with Nintendo, dude. And it's just weird that, like, I guess some executives are being like, "Yep, we messed up," but they're not going to learn from it. They're not going to learn from it.
Do you think
because they've got?
Well, go ahead.
No one's in trouble there. Yeah, no one's really in trouble. Like, they're not worried about keeping the lights on yet, and they're not going to be for, like, way after you and I and everybody who's listening is dead and gone because of how much soccer mom money they got from the friggin' Wii, dude. Like, they have no reason to change yet.
Yeah.
Like, and so I don't know, dude. Like, that's the problem with the Wii U. It's a fine system for people who aren't looking for bleeding edge technology, or at least it could be.
It seems like
if it embraced.
It seems like every time
making.
their new consoles come out, it's like the first thing out of the gate is like, here's our scary adult game. here's this game that you will enjoy. We have something for you. It's like, well, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here for the zombie U. Although yes, it looks fucking cool, but it's like, all right, like whatever. But just show me a fucking title that's good. It doesn't have to be directed towards target audiences. They're always fucking targeting different demographics. So instead of just making a good fucking game and putting it out. So, there's that. Do you think that any of their, like, sort of closed hand, I don't know, tactics had anything to do with this? Like, launching your own online press conferences, like, and just kind of being like, well, this is what we're going to do it our own way. Fuck everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you think that has anything to do with people, like, maybe these publishers are just like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, you're going to be like, this, EA, we're going to put our own fucking games out. Fuck you. Fuck your titles. Good luck getting a sports title because we're EA and we don't give a shit. Like, that's painful. I mean, you and I had talked a couple weeks ago about that there was an exclusivity thing with Xbox One and how it could have been something with sports titles, and that could have really dealt a powerful blow. Well, look at Nintendo. There's not going to be what sports titles are they going to have that are from EA that are on there? There's no EA games, and you look back at all the titles that they had, and it's like bullshit EA titles. Like, it's like goofy soccer games, and like that first Madden they put out with like goofy graphics. Like, it's just, what the fuck is going on over there? So.
I think that's the thing. I just think they're turtling. I think that their first party.
They're Koopa trooping.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, but I'm not gonna call them like fanboys. But yeah, that's kind of like the dudes who. The people who are super loyal to Nintendo, they're going to keep them along. They're going to keep them going and like keep them kind of like breaking even, or who knows, turning a small profit, or, having acceptable losses. And I'm pretty sure, like, at this point, who knows, it could turn around, but the Wii U is just going to kind of be a mulligan. And the people who buy their first party games like that, that money, the money coming from those is just going to get them to whatever next console they have or whatever next handheld they do. Because I mean, like, EA's MIA, a lot of other companies are like, merp, I don't know, maybe here's a port of a game that came out 2 years ago now, and then it's just going to be like almost every other Nintendo console, where it's like, well, just
keep on plugging along.
Keep waiting for that first party title. Keep waiting for that first party newest entry in a decades old franchise. And, that's, it's gotten them by, and like I said, they've got that money built up so they can afford to make a bunch of mistakes.
Well, I think that they need to be, what they should do is kind of keep, they should do what they did with the GameCube. When that thing came out, there was exclusive versions of games that only came out on the GameCube, and I'm talking about Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0 and Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Like, do shit like that. Put something out, you know what I mean? Like, put stuff out that you can't get on another console that are in franchises that you want to be a part of. That are from
third parties,
like, if that's the kind of shit that brought me to the table. I remember when I had my GameCube, when I heard that they were doing the Resident Evil and I saw those screenshots, I was like, absolutely. So, it's just, I don't understand.
Resident Evil 4 came out on the GameCube first as well, right?
Yeah, it was exclusive to the GameCube at first. It wasn't anywhere else, and then it came out to PS2 later. So, yeah, stuff like that, keeps your console alive and well. And, I think that at this point, when that thing came out, there was no issue getting it. And it came out before Christmas, didn't it? Like right before Christmas? Yeah. It wasn't really a holiday. Yeah, it wasn't really a hot Christmas item. There was plenty of them. At Best Buy, they had like 35. They had a fucking tower made out of them, and as you walk past them to get to the DVDs, like there was tons of them. They weren't even selling them. So I think that you're right. This is kind of going to be a mulligan for them. There's not going to be a whole lot of recovering. I don't see them getting out of this in a positive light. I mean, So I mean, as far as like in not in the red, like moving up in their sales, I think and I think that this also has a lot to do with why Microsoft chose to back up too. I think that you have to agree that it's like when you're looking at these two consoles and people are starting to point fingers and judge you, and they're like, hey, the Wii U doesn't look so bad. You got to take a step back and be like, let's fucking adjust this now, because we will not do that. So yeah, so I don't know. Definitely,
it's getting bad then.
Yeah, definitely interesting for sure. So, but yeah, man, I think that about wraps it up this week. I think a lot of things to kind of walk away with and think about for sure. Like I said, I'm going to be finishing up State of Decay here tonight, and or maybe tomorrow, and I'm going to pick up Last of Us sometime this weekend because I can't. Number one, I can't hear about it. I can't safely surf the internet, and we need some more shit to talk about next week. So there'll probably be a big
man. Then we can play multiplayer of it too. The multiplayer's
that's right. There is multiplayer.
Let's talk about that real quick because that doesn't spoil anything. So so it's competitive, and it's kind of like there's a meta game to it. And it plays, it kind of plays like Uncharted, where Naughty Dog has gotten it down with third person shooting. It's got a very Gears of War vibe. Right now, there's two modes, basically like a regular deathmatch, and then kind of like a Gears of War or like old school Gears of War or Counter-Strike mode, where or like Search and Destroy in Call of Duty or whatever, where you get one life per round, and it's about really eradicating the other team. The one that's like Team Deathmatch has this twist, though, where you can gather supplies. There's like little supply drop points around everywhere, and you can kind of like, if you played like the single-player game, you'd see a lot of those same items you can craft, and you craft items to kind of give yourself buffs, give your teammates buffs, but you also get resources, and you have like your own it's called factions, like the player mode, the multiplayer mode. You select which faction you want. There's two factions. And then you can choose to import your Facebook friends, and like it doesn't do anything, like it doesn't spam, like it actually says up front, we're not going to spam or post anything. We're just gathering your friends' names, and it starts putting your friends' names in your faction, and you have survivors that you got to keep healthy. Like there's like management, but you do this by collecting resources off the bodies of players that you kill, and you get like bonus points for kills and for reviving your teammate and stuff like that. So you go in and you play these multiplayer matches, and then the points and stuff, the quote unquote points, come back to like keeping your survivors who are named after people in real life alive. And like it's kind of it gives you like a little status feed. Like I don't think you were one of the people who imported on me yet, but it's like Joey, but it would have been like Joey just killed a rabbit or something like that. Like it gives you updates like blah 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 is healthy. Like Johnny just totally got finger banged in the bathroom. Like so it's kind of cool and like a little like weird. But it's an interesting take, and it's kind of fun. The only downside is, though, like if you're on a team that sucks or isn't working together, it can kind of screw your meta game over. I don't know how much though, but I've only played like a match or two. It seems really cool. So yeah, I mean, we'll
definitely
check
do that.
Sorry, little PR there for free
for
Naughty Dog for their multiplayer. To not get into any spoilery single player stuff. Yeah, the multiplayer it was surprisingly. It's got some good ideas. Like it's at the very least it's innovative.
Yeah, it's
so
awesome.
So yeah, man, we'll have to rage in between you getting all those feels.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
the single player.
Quite a few feels, I'm sure.
So many feels, dude.
Yeah, so many feels. I know that feel.
Yeah, that feel, bro.
Yeah. Well, until next time. Thanks for listening. I'm Joey.
I'm Jordan,
and we will see you soon. Thanks for listening to Sweaty Opinions. Subscribe on iTunes and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Sweaty Opinions. Email us your questions to sweatyopinions@gmail.com. Check out The Teeth, facebook.com/The Teeth Rot. Check out Pandas at facebook.com/Pandas Destroy.